Hi, good morning or good afternoon. How's everybody today? This is Abimbola again. I'm just here today to encourage somebody. This video is mostly to encourage, young people of our times. I feel like young people are faced with such a challenging time with the internet, social media, and just so many things out there to get you to distract you. Sometimes some of these kids are very, you know, addicted to movies, addicted to the internet, and they're not able to focus with their studies, not able to focus with their academics, and so much bullying at school because everything can be recorded these days and every video can be made. So basically, parents are struggling to help their young people keep afloat in this day and in this time. Look, at the end of the day, I believe that there's so much that young people have to offer in our generation. I believe there's so much that they can give to our society, and it's important that parents are very attuned to not suppressing their kids. We're in a time where kids can, there are a lot of things you can do on the internet today, and even a lot of young people making money from the internet. And because of that, some have been discouraged to go to school, some are not really concerned about, even learning basic skills from their parents, from home, and they just want to be on the internet 24 hours a day. Now, consuming the internet is not a bad thing if you are using it for the right purpose, like what I'm doing now, just trying to encourage young people and their parents. But however, we are in a society where there's a lot of liberty, which liberty is a good thing, but if it's used in the wrong way, it can really be detrimental. And for parents, we really need to be able to direct our children. And if you have children that have a lot of friends that are not corrected by their own parents, those kids can be wrong influence to your own kids. And if you have a child that has a friend and really likes that friend, you don't want to discourage a child from having social interactions or mixing up with their colleagues, with their peers rather. So I advise parents to not just yank your child off that relationship, just saying, because as a young child you really do not have the capacity sometimes to see the future. You do not know what sort of friend might be dangerous to you. And it's just like every child has their own identity, and the parents must respect this. So one of these steps you can use to guide your child out of a bad relationship or a bad peer group is, by informing them about what is important to them at the immediate time. Say, for example, you have a child who wants to hang out with certain friends that go to parties and, that wear clothes that are not decent or dress indecently, are quite immoral. A young child who wants to belong does not understand that as a problem. They see it as being in the groove. They see it as being noticed, being fashionable, cool. And as a parent, you do not want to discourage that child to say, no, these friends are bad, blah blah blah. It's best for you to form a bond with your child. You must be able to interchange and switch roles, being more of a parent, being a friend sometimes, being a peer sometimes. Just being understanding. Bring yourself to their level and talk to them and say, what sort of a future do you want for yourself? What sort of a future do you want for yourself? And because kids are not able to understand what it is when you say future. When I was younger, my parents would tell me certain things that, do not have boyfriends. In Africa, it's quite different, or in Nigeria. I'm a Nigerian, and our parents are quite strict. They do not want to see you around any guy. They do not want to see you around any uh, uh, what they perceive as immoral friends. However, they do it in such a way that they hide you. And because of that, some kids, once they got the opportunity to be out in the real world, they just went all out and they fell out. So you don't want to be doing that with your kids today, because many of our parents are really busy. They're going to work 24 hours a day. Mom is going in the morning, dad is coming in the afternoon, you know. So you do not have that luxury of time to give 100% attention to your children. So in doing that, you might also contribute to their problems. So going back to the point, do not force your kids out of a wrong relationship. Instead, guide them. And one of the things you can do is also bring that child a bit closer to you. That is the friend that they want to have. Invite them home. Let them see how you raise your kids. Let them see how kids should properly grow, because a lot of kids are going through trauma today. Trauma from divorced parents, trauma from bullying, trauma from not feeling good enough, trauma from a lot of peer pressure, social pressure, even academic pressure. So you want, and some of them do not have that parenting, that good parenting, or did not even have good childhood. And trust me, you cannot change a child in one day. However, if you see that your kid is having friends that could make them really wild, invite those kids home, and see how you can pour into their life better morals. Give them good examples, set them good examples, give them the opportunity to hang out with their friend in your environment and see how that works. Not being too much into their business, giving them the luxury to enjoy their companionship when they're in your presence, and doing that with a lot of respect. And once you observe the dynamic between their relationship, you can call your child and say, I think this, you guys can do this way, instead of, maybe say going out to smoke. Some kids are already smoking from a young age, and you do not want that to happen to your child. But unfortunately, some kids have already started it and their parents do not know what to do. It's important you take your child for counseling if you can. There are different services and programs that help young people to stop tobacco use and smoking a cigarette and even vaping. So I really encourage parents to be mindful, and particularly if you've tried to help that kid to concentrate, that is your child's friend, try to give them direction in your presence to say, look, why don't you try this option? These are better options. Why don't you guys study at this time? Or, get, now this message is mostly for teenagers going to youth. So from say 15, 16 upwards, when kids already begin to have that puberty going on, feeling of being validated and all those sort of things. They're about to probably leave high school to uni or college. So this is the direction I'm focusing on today, not for younger ones than that. So you try to help that other child so that you can help your child, but try not to do your best not to break the relationship. Because I've seen parents that I've heard rather of parents that have tried to do that with their kids, and some of those kids run out of home and follow their friends. Yeah, it is shocking that kids will actually leave their parents and go after friends that you don't even want them to have anything to do with. So bring that child, that friend, bring them close to your house, bring them close to your home. Show them love in your home, and show them how you raise your kids. And I promise you that you might not be able to change that child, but because of their presence in your house, because of the love you give them, they will respect that, or at least most likely respect that, and be a good influence to your children. So that is the aspect. So another aspect of that parents are struggling with, most especially migrant parents. I see people from cult background, what we call cult in Australia, that's culturally and linguistic diversity, people from culturally now I can get it. If I remember, I'll say it again. But it's people from culturally a diverse background, most especially people from maybe the Middle East, from Africa, people that have also come to Australia as refugees. Many of them are struggling. Some of them came in without their fathers, and that's one of the issues that these young kids they are facing. Many kids have been raised by just their moms, which I understand that a lot of situation has led to that. Divorce, separation, domestic violence, and all that stuff. And it's quite unfortunate because there is nothing as good as having both parents raise a child. But if the child is being raised in an abusive environment where the mom is being battered daily, the mom is being beaten, of course that woman wants to run for her life. So that is quite understandable when women cannot stay in a relationship that is that challenging. But in saying that, it's important that you find your child a good role model. Let's also be mindful that sometimes people find a role model for a male role model, and that role model might even abuse the child. But I do tell people, what are the odds? What are your chances? You either try to raise that child. What if it doesn't happen to you? Another school of thought is, what if it happens? What if you connect your child to a male mentor or a male guide, and then he's abused? So what you want to do is educate your children, educate your son, educate your sons about sexual abuses. Educate them on how if people touch them in certain areas, they should be telling you, and they should not be scared to tell you. I know it's really hard to have such conversation with your children, but I tell you, in the world we are in today, there's lots of abuse going on in the world, and we really need to educate our children to know and identify what an abuse is. So for my grandparents, for example, many of them as refugees came without their fathers. The mothers came with their children, and they came without husbands or partners or spouses. And many of these women have come into an environment where they do not understand how the system works. They do not even understand English. They're not English speaking, and they've not been able to integrate with the community they found themselves in. Some of them with very low self-esteem, and very minimal understanding of what's going on in the environment. So they've raised their kids in the house and have not taken them out into the community to integrate, to socialize, to interact properly apart from school. And these kids go to school, and all they learn from school is all they know. And unfortunately, because these kids begin to struggle with identity crisis, they end up in a place where they're lost. Many young people, most especially those from my called background, are struggling. They are struggling, and you see that sometimes their parents do not even give them sexual education, and then they go to school. Whatever school teaches them is what they accept. They try to be accepted, and therefore do whatever they can do to just be accepted. Parents have to be awakened to the reality that kids are being lost to the world. Kids are being influenced by negative people. Kids are being taken daily into things that they shouldn't have any business learning. Migrant parents have to be very alert to this. For those ones who cannot speak English, those ones who cannot have any, who are not very confident about the environment, connect your kids to a group. Apart from school, it could be church. You could connect them to church groups. Yeah, just to blow your mind, it's not every church that might even be or religious or church gathering that might be good for the kid, but it's still better for them to be somewhere than nowhere. And just to build their self-esteem in that environment. Because if you're not English speaking, or you're not very fluent in English, how do you help your kids integrate with the society you've not even integrated into? So my advice is always be mindful to connect your children with the right groups, and always give them be mindful of making them have a father figure. It could be your uncle, it could be their uncles, it could be their elder brothers, it could be their brothers. Sometimes the younger one is even smarter than the older one. There must be a role model, a mentor in that young man's life. Because a lot of women are suffering domestic violence today, and this is because sons are being raised without fathers. And this is not to disannul the fact that there are a lot of single women there doing a great job with raising their kids and their sons, and there's no one that can teach you how to raise your kids. However, we are finding that there are a lot of boys that are being raised by moms alone and do not know how to be fathers. And most times, because the mothers are so angry, the women are so angry with the dads because they separated, it was a bitter one. They've poisoned this boy's mind to the extent that, they don't want to have anything to do with their fathers. Now, I understand that some men do not, they have not done the best being husbands or being partners, spouses, or whatever. However, their presence in the life of a man, a male child, goes a long way. It goes a long way in that they can see what men are supposed to do. They can see a male figure in their lives. A lot of men are struggling. A lot of young men are struggling because all they ever experienced was mother's presence. And that's why you see many young men even turning into transgender. They feel like they were all around women. They were all around mothers, all around sisters, all around mom's friends. It was the same feminine exposure. What do you expect a child from a young age that has just been around women, seeing boobs everywhere, makeup, cooking, which nothing bad with that, but they just did not know how men behave, and they grew up so soft. And there's nothing wrong with being soft and being emotional, being sensitive and all that stuff, but there is a way that men ought to still have certain strength compared to women. I know this is not traditional, probably will not be accepted. That is all right. We all have our opinions, and everyone has a right to choose and to be what they want to be. But you leave me with my opinion, and if you don't like this, that's fine. I am just talking to people who are in the same school of thought with me and who think they can learn from this. Find role models for your men, for your male children. If you're a single mom, do not let them grow without a man figure in their lives. And then another mistake that many make is in trying to find a man in their life, they keep ending up with the wrong man, and they just have given up. I understand. It's okay if you've made all efforts to find another man in your life, and yet that you just keep getting the wrong guys. It's all right if you just want to stop and say, you know what, I just want to take care of myself and just be myself. I've tried to bring in a man figure for this kid, but it's still not working. But if you're a Christian, take them to church. And now some people say some kids have been abused in church. I am aware. Yes, abuses happen, but good things happen more than the abuse. Like I said, we're going to be trying to find the best solution, because it's like you have two evils and you're saying, I'll pick one out of the evil. at least the most favorable one. It's two evils, but I'll pick a lesser evil, right? That is the world we are living in. We'll begin to deceive ourselves if we say, oh, okay, for example, you say motorbikes kill people. No, the automobile kill people. People have accidents on the road when they drive their car. But yet, cars are better. We have more benefit from cars than not to drive them. The amount of accidents that happen compared to the amount of good obtained from that vehicle is more than the accident. So you choose the lesser evil. Say, I'll still drive a car. What are the odds? Some people have driven cars all their life and never had accidents. And we can also put that in, we relate that with medication. I was a pharmacist in my country, and we're taught that all medications, all medicines are poisons. But at the end of the day, some poisons, you do a risk to benefit ratio, okay? You do a risk to benefit ratio. Yes, a lot of kids have been abused in church, but there are more kids that have not been abused in church than have been abused. So we're in a generation where we always take things that we let the negative overcome the good. No, the internet is not good. The internet is not good. Yet there's so much you benefit from having the internet. The other day, the Optus in Australia here went on a network outage, and that could have cost some businesses lots of millions. And that's us saying the internet is not good, but yet there's so much benefit for it. So at the end of the day, you have to choose. We are in a world where you have to choose your battles. You have to choose which one you will turn to. You cannot say, I will not do anything because everything is bad. No, you will not grow. You will not make any progress, and you will not help those around you. Neither would you help yourself. So parents, find a male figure for your sons. Do not raise your sons without fathers. And father meaning any good man that can be a mentor. Let them be exposed to a male figure. Women, please take this advice here. Do not raise your sons isolated from other men. That is a summary of everything that I have to say today. And for the young women that are also without fathers, I know what it is like to feel like you don't really have your father to yourself. For me, I was not exposed to my dad every day. I was raised by grandma and grandpa. Thank God, grandpa was a father figure for me, and my dad had 6 brothers, and I lived with them for a long time, but I didn't live with my dad exactly. And I learned so much. I thank God for my uncles. I thank God for them. I love them so much because each one of them contributed to my life. I couldn't have been the same person if I didn't have those men in my life. And when I do used to have exposure to my dad, he's a police officer, and he travels from place to place and everything. So I couldn't stay with him because that would affect my studies and everything. So just wanted me to be more stable, and they left me with my grandparents. But I do go on holidays, and I'll be with him for a while. And in a 2-week holiday or 2 weeks holiday, my dad might see me just 3 times in that 2 weeks or in those 2 weeks. But guess what? He will he would try to find few hours in between those times to just talk some sense into my head. The typical Nigerian parent for a girl, do not get pregnant. Do not have boyfriends when you're young until you get to uni or something. And even if you get to uni, they still want to focus. They still want to put their eyes to be sure that you are with the right people or right guy. So my dad would advise me. Sometimes he would say things that are so offensive to me that, asking you questions if you're a virgin, if you had not had sex, if someone is not touching you in the wrong places. But as a police officer, now that I grew older, I realized that he probably was having a lot of situation at work where children were abused by their parents, uncles, brothers, or whatever. So he wanted to be sure that being exposed to a lot of men, I was not being abused, which then I didn't appreciate because it was so uncomfortable being in those conversations. But now as I've grown older, I appreciate it because I saw that my dad was just trying to be sure that I was safe. And so that is important. And I was so scared of my dad then that I would not, you know, I was so careful not to. I was always thinking, oh, my dad, he said that, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. And that fear, the fear of the father, just kept me really far from some evil. And even if I go close, I will run out. So that was the fear of the father in my life. But though my dad was a very responsible man, some kids have not been fortunate to have responsible fathers. And like I said, it's going as a cycle now, where it's like a cycle. Parents divorce, the boys are raised without their fathers, or the kids without their fathers, and then the circle goes back to the fact that the child, probably for some kids, they're lucky, they come out successful without their dads, and others are not. They say there's a high percentage of the young men in prison, or mostly men that were raised without fathers, and that were separated or divorced. And also for the young girls that are in drugs and early pregnancy with wedlock, many of them were without fathers in their lives, or from divorced parents. So when you start hearing those statistics, it hasn't changed. You will be, you begin to think twice about who you're marrying, how you're getting, and what the plan is towards giving birth. Some people just want to have a child. I understand. You just want to have a child. You just want to, be a parent. But are you thinking that, what if this man doesn't stay with me for that long? What if he breaks this relationship? Does he love me? Because if he doesn't love you, you might be raising that child alone. Please, do not just give birth to a child to make a marriage work. Do not give birth to a child to hold a man down. No, it's not going to hold him down. So that we don't raise our kids alone. And it's a lot of sacrifices a lot of women make to, many people, many women especially, make sacrifices to make their marriages work. And at the end of the day, it might not work, and they've done all they can. And it's so pathetic that these men will leave their wives without thinking twice of their children. And that is the cycle I'm talking about, where broken homes lead to broken kids. Broken kids get married to other people and then break it again, and the cycle continues. And it's just a broken society. There is somebody that is out there that needs to hear this. Put a lot of self-esteem in your children. And at the same time, do not make them proud, because there's a thin line between self-esteem and being proud. Please, if you are going to be raising your children without their fathers, find a father figure. That is the whole essence of this video today. Raise your children in the presence of a father figure. Fathers might not contribute to the cooking, the cleaning, the domestic things, the everything, but their presence sometimes does a lot in the life of the children. I particularly would tell my daughter, she's just 3 years old, and I'll say, do this, da 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 da, and she'll sometimes be cheeky. But as soon as her dad tells her, do this and do that, she'll do it. and I'm already thinking, this child is just 3 years old, and her dad has so much power over her compared to me, because she probably just sees me too much and she's gotten too familiar. So dads might not be too present because they're men and they do other things. They're not around the kids always, but just their presence is a good security for children. So let's try our best. It's not easy. I know sometimes you just want to leave that man and go because it's just too much trouble. And sometimes you just want to even leave that woman and go because she's just too much problem for you. But always think about your children. Always think about the future. Always think about the society that you're in, and knowing that that child being raised without you as a dad might end up being a nuisance to the society. And first, that child might end up into bad decisions, bad company, no security. Your daughter, think about your daughter before you break that marriage. She might be abused, you will not know. We want men to be present in the life of their children. Women do everything to make it happen. Can you guys, men, can you guys make a little bit of effort to help? And not allow the marriage break or that relationship break. Hopefully this was able to convince somebody to stay in a marriage. This was able to, encourage that man to be a better husband and to be present in the life of their child. And also this might encourage the child to give their mom some peace by just understanding the amount of sacrifices she makes to make you who you are. Stay blessed, and hopefully talk soon. Bye.